We saw one upset already go down. Florida State, man, 13-1, starts 0-1 the following year. But let's get into it. You say the sweeping changes. Let's start with the college football playoff. Let's just start there. Expanding to 12 teams. What effect will this have on the landscape of college football across the country?
George, so many changes. It's the longest college football season we have ever seen, going all the way until January 20th, 2025. It will also be the largest field we have ever seen, competing for a true opportunity to win a national championship. The BCS era, long gone. The 4-team format and the 10-year history that it had in the college football playoff is a thing of yesteryear as well, which makes it incredibly interesting to see how the entire season is going to play out. In that decade-long 4-team format in the college football playoff, George, we never, not once, did we see a team with multiple losses make it into the field of 4. Now that we have 12, with the 5 highest-ranked conference champs earning an automatic bid and 7 at-large bids on the line as well, we are going to see multiple teams with multiple losses into the college football playoff, which I enjoy. Some have argued that it makes the regular season a little bit more insignificant. I would argue the opposite. You referenced Florida State, the preseason number 10 team in the country. In years past, Florida State would have a very slim to none margin of making it to the college football playoff, with Slim walking out the door. Now FSU still has a season to fight for. It will make every game, every week, throughout the entirety of 2024 compelling, intriguing, and important. I'm a big fan of expansion in the CFP.
I'm the same way. Multiple loss teams. We'll see underdogs. We'll see upsets. We're just going to see more bowl games, and I'm all for that. The longer the bowl season. And like you said, the 5 highest-ranking conference champions. So we'll have the Power 4, then whoever wins, the Mountain West, the AAC, and all that. And then the 7 highest-ranked teams remaining. I just love the madness it'll bring in. So we used to have the Power 5. It's now the Power 4. OU in Texas and the SEC is one. Cal and Stanford in the ACC. Wrap your mind around that Atlantic Coastal Conference. Arizona State in the Big 12, and then UCLA, USC, and our beloved Big 10. Ben, like how I did that one. Out of these newbies, who do you give the best shot to win their conference?
George, I would check in on 2 places. That would be first in the Big 10. I think Oregon rivals Ohio State for that best team, for that preseason favorite, entering the Big 10 title race before a season even begins. Oregon, great defensively last year. We know up the offensive firepower that Eugene can hold. And now it's a new quarterback in Dillon, Gabriel, but with the same offensive coordinator in Will Stein, who got the most out of Bo Nix this season ago. And I would expect similar productive numbers for Dillon, Gabriel, and the Ducks in 2024. And a lot of defensive improvements and some transfer portal additions that Dan Lanning made. Oregon as complete, balanced, deep, and talented, as you will see, not just in the Big 10, but around the nation in college football. So I'd give Oregon a look in the Big 10. And in the Big 12, Utah is a staple of consistency. It is about to be year number 20 under Kyle Whittingham. And in 2 of the last 3 years to end out their tenure in the Pac-12, both 2021 and 2022, the Utes were a conference champion. They enter their first season in the Big 12 as the preseason favorites, both from the odds perspective and the media poll pick to win the Big 12 in 2024. And if we could all go to college for 7 years, who would pass up the opportunity? That's what Cam Rising is doing. Utah's returning quarterback injured late in 2022 in the Rose Bowl defeat to Penn State, missed all of 2023, despite many thinking he would be back at some point in Salt Lake. He returns for year 7 in college football. Steady veteran presence with a ton of experience, ready to guide Utah to immediate success in the Big 12.
Yeah, Oregon 2-1 to win the Big 10. Utah plus 280 to win the Big 12. And you're right on that. If I'm Cam Rising, all this NIL money I can make now, all this college football they'll let me play, I'll make more money now in the NIL than I ever will in the NFL, because some guys are college athletes and they're just not pro athletes. I love to point out on Oregon, you get Dillon Gabriel to replace Bo Nix, another experienced quarterback, another dual threat like Nix. And then you also go into the portal, as Dan Lanning did, and get Evan Stewart, the wide receiver out of Texas A&M. Middle, deep down the center of the field, where Gabriel loves to throw, goes in, gets that to revamp their wide receiver room as well. I got to throw it out here. I got to ask about it. I mean, everyone wants to know. And the target gets bigger, and, the narrative is flipping of people supporting Deion in Colorado to everyone waiting to see him fall. But do you see an actual step forward from a team that went 4-8, and we know how high the mountaintop was and how low rock bottom was, but to actually take a step forward of, Could this be a Colorado team that, with all the hype they're built around, and they do have talent on that side, could be in the college football playoff picture?
No, not at all in terms of college football playoff contention, but that's where I think the unfair assessment comes for the Buffaloes. A Colorado team that has a win total entering year 2 of the prime era in Boulder of 5.5. If Colorado goes over that number, that would be great success for a CU program that has only reached bowl eligibility once in the last decade, right? And for a 4-8 team in the first year of Dion's time at CU, for a team that won just a single game at the FBS level in 2022 before Deion Sanders arrived at the helm of the Buffs, wouldn't that be year-over-year improvement? A 1-win football team, a 4-8 football team in the first year of Deion Sanders' tenure to a 6-6 bowl eligible football team? That to me would be success. But Deion Sanders, because of the attention that he welcomes in Boulder, will that be the standard that they are judged by? I would say no. If they are just a 6-win football team, I think many people will look at Colorado and consider the season a failure. I do not. Shedeur Sanders is one of the best quarterbacks in the Big 12 and maybe around college football this year in 2024. Travis Hunter, of course, one of the most dynamic playmakers and the best two-way player you will see in college football this year. He will be tasked with doing everything if he can remain healthy. The biggest keys for CU, George, not from a national notoriety perspective, but just a football X's and O's, is protecting Shedeur Sanders. They gave up the second most sacks in all of FBS college football a season ago. They went to the transfer portal to try to fill a couple of those holes. They got a 5-star recruit in Jordan Seaton, who will be expected to anchor the offensive line right away. Will it be enough with how Deion Sanders has built his program, not for a college football playoff run, in my estimation, but for 6 wins and bowl eligibility? Maybe so.
Yeah, that's what you said it. With the attention that comes with Deion Sanders, like year over year, the fact that Colorado won 4 games and beat TCU and just was winning games within playing equal level of competition, that's a huge upgrade. Yeah. But when they're going to look back, and we're going to see a Travis Hunter possibly go top 3, top 5 in this draft, we'll see Shedeur Sanders, who I think is capable of being an NFL quarterback, and I wouldn't mind him being in to take in the first round. But everything that comes with it, it's the off the field, the pressure that comes in, where 6 wins would be a parade for Colorado at any point in their history of their program since they fell off, after the 90s and their reign there. But what Deion Sanders brings, what Shedeur Sanders brings, what Travis Hunter and those guys bring, it's a different story for them. We've talked about the big names. We mentioned Dillon, Gabriel. We look at the Heisman landscape coming up. Who do you think hoists the best trophy to me in all of college sports?
George, we talked about expansion in the college football playoff. One of the things that I will be monitoring throughout all of 2024 is the sample size it will set for the Heisman Trophy race. As we use the 10-year history of the 4-team format in the CFP, 7 of the 10 Heisman Trophy winners either led their team to a conference championship or a college football playoff appearance. Neither of the past 2 in Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels, but there was a strong track record prior to that. 8 of the 10 play the quarterback position. Of course, the Heisman Trophy has been dominated by the quarterback position in the last 20 to 25 years. So if we have in the college football playoff expanded world more teams in the national conversation late into November, does that do the same thing for the individual race that is the Heisman Trophy? 2 names to keep an eye on. At 14-1, it's Jackson Dart, the quarterback for Ole Miss. Ole Miss is favored to reach the college football playoff, George, in this first year of a field of 12. And in a Lane Kiffin offense, the numbers are always going to be there. If Dart can lead the running Rebs to college football playoff consideration, keep an eye on his number. And then a little bit deeper down the board, although I wish the number was longer than it is, 25-1 on Avery Johnson, the second-year quarterback, the true sophomore for Kansas State. First, the numbers. 5 passing touchdowns for K-State during his true freshman season, only made 8 appearances, often in garbage time once K-State was either winning by a ton or the other way around. Had 7 rushing scores, though, more on the ground than he did even with his arm. And, George, we saw that personified in the biggest bowl game of last season, in my estimation. That was the Pop-Tarts Bowl, a bowl that swept the nation from that conversation standpoint. And Avery Johnson, making his first career start for the Wildcats, put on a show. Multiple passing touchdowns, more than 70 yards on the ground, and a score there as well. He won Pop-Tarts Bowl MVP, so I am starting a theory and a narrative entering 2024. In the history of college football, we have never seen a Pop-Tarts Bowl MVP with that prestigious hardware and fail to win the Heisman Trophy the following season. Don't tell anybody it was the inaugural Pop-Tarts Bowl in 2023. We're going to continue the theory into 2024, but keep an eye on Avery Johnson and Kansas State, who can rival Utah for that top spot in the Big 12.
Yeah, I've heard that, and this makes sense. I was talking with very high-level people in charge of conferences and presidents of universities. They've been saying they're looking for that back-to-back trophy happen. Pop-Tarts Bowl winner, yep. Heisman Trophy winner. But many are searching for who will be the first Triple Crown winner of Duke's Mayo Bowl champion, Pop-Tart Bowl champion and MVP, and then a Heisman winner. But this is what the expanded playoff can bring this. I love it. And we talk about 12 teams. We talk about these Heisman guys. It still looks like there's 4 teams. Georgia, OSU, with Will Howard and Chip Kelly now there. Chip Kelly, the offensive coordinator. Will Howard come from Kansas State. Oregon and Texas, the 4 favorites to win the national championship. It could be one of those 4, and I wouldn't hate to pick, but who do you see hoisting the national championship with Jim Harbaugh, now gone to the NFL, but those 4 schools being the favorites to win it?
Because of Jim Harbaugh's final year in college football, and the Michigan Wolverines winning a national championship in 2023. Ohio State saw their most bitter rival stand atop the mountaintop in college football and said, never again over my dead body. They invested into the transfer portal. They brought everybody back. Chip Kelly is now the offensive coordinator. Ohio State, Georgia, is going to win a national championship in 2024. In fact, I think at bare minimum, it is a national championship game appearance or bust for the Buckeyes in Columbus. If they fail to do that, although I might not agree with the ultimate decision, there will be some calls for Ryan Day's job about elevating the ceiling in Columbus. But I do ultimately believe that Ohio State will reach that precipice and win a national championship in 2024.